Hi, I'm Bill Will. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to build a Knight Rider LED light kit. If you're somebody that goes to an empty parking lot at 2 or 3 a.m., this will guarantee you can see your rides for them high-speed runs. Make sure you watch this whole video all the way to the end. That way you know what you're up against before you start doing this. I'm going with the 350Z body. I'm going to put lights in the front, lights on the top, and lights in the back. These are the light strips. I got red, purple, and white picked out. Now they come in two different sizes, 2.7 millimeter, and you got a 4 millimeter as far as your thickness. The wire I use is 26 gauge AWG. This is a power booster. I'm going to use an Exacto knife, scissors, wire strippers, a reamer, a hot glue gun. You want to use the solder that has the flux built into it. The generic solder, like you have to have like a little can of the flux and you got to wipe it on everything and then solder it, and it gets kind of messy. Also, I use this thing. I don't even know what this is called, but it helps me pinch all of it together so my hands are free. It's got a magnifying glass. Sometimes like it can be hard to see, so it works out good. Also, you're going to need a hot glue gun, and of course you're going to need the soldering iron to solder it all together. You're also going to need heat shrink to button it all up. You don't want any exposed wires or anything so it grounds out and pops your booster or overheats your battery. We'll be going through all this today. In the listings below, I'll have all this so you can see what it is, where it is, and what it costs. It's fairly cheap. If you look on the side here, there's a little black notch. You go up, there's another notch. It's very important that you cut on these notches, because if you cut in between, you're going to cut the circuit and your light's not going to work. And you just wiggle it like that. Boom. You want to line these notches up. Get a perfectly straight cut. Just like that. So that's the two for the top, and they're purple. For the back, I'm going to do 2-inch strips. For the front, I'm going to do 2 1-inch strips for each side. That's what I got going on for the front. There's going to be 2 1-inch strips, one vertical, one horizontal. It's going to be on both sides. For the back, I'm going to run 1 long strip. On the top, I'm going to do my purples. I might run them at an angle, run them parallel with the pin striping. This way you just get an idea of what kind of visual what it's going to look like. I'm going to put my power booster in the middle on the roof of the car, and I'm going to run all my wires to that point. I don't measure nothing, but I'm going to run the wire and just get a ballpark of what it's going to take to get that wire from the light to the booster. So that's one. So I got the 4 wires for the front lights. Moving on, I'm going to do the 2 purple lights. So now I got the top. Now I'm going to run the back. And what I do is I try to run all my wires along, the edge of the windows. That way it's not in the window. You don't have wires hanging everywhere, and it's all, you want to keep it clean. Say like, I'll bend it like that. Run it over here. That should be plenty long for the back ones. The next move is strip all the wires. I probably want to strip back, 3/8 of an inch. I'll twist all the reds together, all the blacks together. What I did is I put tape around it. If you got all this weight of the wires, it'll come untwisted, it all falls apart. For those of you that have never done soldering, how you clean your soldering iron is you get a wet sponge. Soldering iron's heated up. Got my flux solder. I'm going to do this, get it all tied in. If you look closely, it says V in, V out. That's voltage in, voltage out. Voltage out is going to your lights. I got that like that, and I'm going to use just a regular alligator clip. Kind of clip it down. That's soldered up pretty good. It's good to have all your wires pretty close, you know, to the same length. That way you don't have problems lining this up. Do like that. Put a little bit of pressure. You'll see the solder melt. Just like that. It's done. Now you just unwrap the tape and good to go. I got the 4 wires for the front, the 2 wires for the top, the 2 wires for the rear. Next step is to strip the ends of these wires. Where you're connecting the light strips to the wires, you only want to do maybe a 1/4 inch at the most. As you can see, it's not much. So the back of your light strip, what you're going to want to do is peel this back. On one side it says positive, on the other side it says negative. So I know the negative is on the top and the positive is on the bottom. Put a little dot on that side. That way I know that's the positive no matter what I do. I'm not going to forget and solder the wires wrong. You can see the length. It's not much. That's what you got to solder to. So I'm just going to cut this little, it's like the paper. You got to cut that down, peel that off. And that servo tape is on there. You're going to have to peel that off too. If you cut that on there, you're not going to be able to get the wire to stick. Get you some solder on your wire. Doesn't take much. This is a little bit more tricky right here. Make sure your soldering iron's clean. That's a lot smaller. Just want to get a dab. It's a little bitty dab to stick. Just like that. You want to get your heat shrink, cut it 3/8 of an inch. You're going to want to get your heat shrink that's just barely big enough for this to slide in and out of. Now I want to position my LED on there. Should just be able to touch it and stick on there. You want to get it lined up just right on the edge of where you cut the tape off, and just enough to cover the metal strips where you soldered. And you just do this real quick so you don't burn nothing. Just repeat that step over and over till you get all your lights soldered up and heat shrinked. Your next move is going to be the power wire. Now you want the power wire to be long enough to where you got the body off and you can plug it in. You don't want it so short that you're bending your body up and trying to make the connection to your battery. You want to give yourself plenty of length. I usually try to cover that hole up and let me know I got plenty of solder on there. Make sure you got your positive to your positive and your negative to your negative. Alright, just touch that. Boom, it's done. Nice and tight, solid. Okay, for as far as connectors, it depends on your Lipo battery. You can do the JST connectors. They work really good. You can do like a futaba connector and just plug it straight into your receiver, which I don't do that because I just don't like messing with my receiver. Plus, you got to crimp your wires to this and then plug it into this, so it's a lot more work. What I did is I bought a whole case. I think this was like $10. Comes with 1 cell, 2 cell, 3 cell, 4 cell, 5 cell. And what these are, these plug into your balancer cable on your Lipo battery. But for today, I'm going to go with the 2S or the 2 cell. Another thing is when you're putting solder on this, and when you're also soldering the wires to it, you got to be really quick, like just dab it and be done with it. If you don't, these pins get hot really quick and they'll melt the inside. You know, they won't be poking out, plugging straight into your balancer wire. They'll be all like, all three of them be just messed up and melted up in there. So it's important that you do this part really quick. Also, what's important is you make sure that you get your right wires in the right spot. And maybe if you're doing it this way, you make sure the red wire is in the right location. The 2 black wires are both ground, so it doesn't matter where you put the solder the black wire. But the red wire, you definitely want to make sure the red wire is to the red. Another thing, to make sure this is going to stick and it's going to stick quick, what I'm going to do is get my Exacto knife and scratch the surface of the metal peg. That way the solder sticks to it really good. And if you have any other problems, like as far as building the kit, you can do that too, but I've never had to do it on the copper. This is a different kind of metal. This feels like, I don't know, metal. So you just scratch a little bit and that'll make sure it sticks kind of quick. Just like that. Just real quick, give it a little quick dab. I got all my heat shrink on there. All right, let's see how that looks. Pretty solid. All right, so I'm gonna slide this up, make sure it's covered good. It's real important to be quick with this lighter because you don't want it to melt anything. Turn it black and melt it and whatever. You see the pins are perfectly straight. Now you slide up this other one over that. Now for the third one, which is big enough to slide over the whole thing. Just slide that over. And you want it to go all the way up. You see where the notches are? You want to get that lined up right there on the end of the notches. And then that's where that one goes. It's like that. Now it's done. Now it's time to test it. There you go. Don't look directly at the light. If you look right here on the side, there's an adjustment screw for the brightness. If you turn it clockwise, it'll turn it up, maybe even brighter. I wouldn't recommend it because it's already bright enough. These lights, you can see them over a mile away as it is. If you turn it counterclockwise, it'll dim it down if it's too bright for you. I bought this whole roll of heat shrink. Probably do about that long. And that should be good. This is 1-inch heat shrink. It's guaranteed to shrink up to 1 inch really tight. But it actually tightens up pretty good on this. This right here That's probably equivalent to about 5/8, so that's a hair under 3/4 of an inch, and it tightens up pretty good on that. This next step, I'm gonna hot glue this all right here in place. I just put it in between the wires. I want those to be stable. Maybe squirt a little extra on there. And what'll happen is I'll put the heat shrink, and when I light the lighter, it'll remelt all the hot glue, and it'll all bind real good and form in place. You basically want the wires to be solid on the booster. It's okay for the wires to bend everywhere else except for right there by the booster, because you don't want your wires to come, loose and disconnected from the solder joint. When putting on the heat shrink, this side with all the wires and the lights, you don't want it to go up in here too far, and you don't want that side sticking out, but more so this side right here, you want it kind of to the edge, not quite. And the reason being is if you shove this in there, then it's going to shorten up your wires, and when you go to hot glue them in, and it may mess up your measurements if you're too short, and your lights won't reach the spot that you got designated for them. Sometimes I don't even use heat shrink. You can see the hot glue is melting and squeezing out. These are not waterproof, so if you're like somebody that's trying to drive across the lake at night, like this isn't going to work for you. I just filled the holes up with hot glue. If water gets in these lights, it will definitely pop the power booster up. It works. Got it all locked in place. It's ready to hot glue or servo tape it to the body, which I usually do both. That's what a completed light kit should look like right there. You got the rear, the top, there's your power, and then your two fronts on each side. This is the breakdown. I bought all these colors in 2.7 millimeter, and I bought all the colors in 4 millimeter. Okay, what it cost per inch is 21 cents each per inch. Okay, 1 meter is a little over 39 inches. So every roll you got potentially, 39 inches per roll. So I use 4 whites in the front of the car, so that's why I put in quantity, I use 4 inches. And that's 84 cents. In the rear, I did two 2-inch strips, which is still 4 inches, and that's 84 cents. Now the 4 millimeter, because it is bigger or thicker, it costs a little bit more. So 2 inches of that was 56 cents. Now the boosters, you get 30 of them. I bought them in bulk, and that's like $20. And that comes out to 75 cents a booster, which isn't bad. As far as the connectors, I got the prices listed of what it is per connector each. I went with the 2-cell today, and I only used one, so that's 18 cents. In the wire, I bought a 65-foot roll, which was, I think like $15 or a little bit less. And I used 3 foot, so that's 69 cents. So the total cost of today's build was $4.60. Everything you see me do in this video up to this point cost me $4.60. Now your battery is optional, and I bought 2 of them for $19.95. So with like shipping and handling, they were $24 and some change. So I just rounded off around $12 for the little bitty Lipo pack. Down in my listing, I've listed all the buyers that I have actually used on eBay, and I put a link to all that, and I've had no problems getting the stuff. Some of the things that I've used, it may take a week to get here. Other things like the power boosters I bought in bulk, I think it took like a little over, probably about 2.5 weeks to get it, but I got 30 of them for $20. Like I wasn't in a hurry, so I got the deal. But all this stuff's listed down in my listing. So check that out and see what you want to do and how you want to build. You pull your measurements on your car, figure out what lights you want. You may not buy everything like I did, but you can go ahead and, you know, kind of get an idea from this what it's going to cost you to build each kit. And then you go from there and figure out, okay, well, I want these colors. I want to use this connector. Do I want a battery? Do I just want to use my regular Lipo battery? You know, let me show you this other chassis of what I use the little bitty battery packs for. So this is the body I was telling you about. This is Arma Felony. So what I've done is on this car, I have the light strips on the body. And that's where the power booster is, and that's all tied in. You know, I got LEDs right here on the wheels. I got two up top right here on the GPS. And then I also got two in the back there, and I even threw some neon stickers, which it's bright, and they glow pretty good. Now this other little battery pack, I just strapped it in there, and this is what actually powers the LEDs on the body. And let me plug this in so you can see what I'm working with. I can get these lights. So that's what I got the little battery packs for. So I got the lights inside the wheels. This makes the whole inside of the body glow. And then I got some back here with all my stickers. I really wish you could see how bright these neon stickers pop and how they glow, because it's like a black light. I mean, it is truly beautiful. I'm probably going to do a video where I paint a body completely neon, and then I'm going to drive it out in the yard or somewhere, one of my off-road buggies, and get an idea. But that's what I use the little battery packs for. I can't do that one-handed. This car is a beast. It run over 100 miles and burn out the whole time. Truly amazing machine. So that's the bottom. That I put a new plate on it. Skid plates, throwing sparks. The bottom's out, which I haven't drove it yet with this. Weather's been crazy. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's like tornado winds over here. We're not even in the panhandle. Here's the bottom of this body. I got the GoPro camera. I put aluminum foil because I didn't want the white to show through and you catch a shadow of this thing on the top here. So that just blocks out the light. I put the power booster in. I even put some little quick disconnects. I don't know why. In case I wanted to like put, you know, lights on the body facing down. Well, I could just disconnect one of those, but I'm not going to fool with none of that. You know, changing colors out or whatever. But let me show you how this plugs in. So put that on there like that. This wire, that's why I was saying leave your wire long enough so you can actually do this without the body being all crunched up and everything. You can plug it in. That sits just like that. Turn off this light. That's actually better with the light. You can see what's going on. Oh, raw dog. That's just crazy looking, isn't it? And what you're looking at there, that's a $400 body. It's what it cost me to build this body, paint it, you know, $130 worth of stickers, the light kit, the GoPro camera with the goggles. So yeah, that's what I use the batteries for. These are older pics. As you can see on the top, before I put the foil on there, the light was coming through, so that's why I wanted to put the foil on it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. This is the end of part 1. The next video is going to be on how to actually install it to the body.